This program is not only meant for you to gain elite strength and conditioning. The main purpose of this program is for you to become elite at technique and skill execution, which is the most important part of training. Here we have the 4 phases of the program, the name and purpose of the phases, and the physical abilities needed to work on per session, and the order they should be worked on. The exact order, guys. Let's take a look at phase 1, general physical preparation. In this phase, if you're an elite, this is more or less the phase where you're either maintaining your strength and conditioning while still working on your technique and skills. And in every session, after a warm-up, the first thing I work on is my technique and skill. I never do any type of strength or conditioning before practicing my technique and skill work. The reason for this is because if I do strength and then I do conditioning before I do my technique and skill work, my body will be fatigued and tense. And when I begin to practice my technique and skill work, the form won't be impeccable. It's important to practice your technique, work, and skills with impeccable form, not tired and stiff. Once I'm done with my technique and skill work, which is shadow, mid work, bag work, I move on to specialized strength work. Specialized strength work are exercises that strengthen the coordination of your skills and technique. So in a power punch, you have a hip or rotating hip going on, and you have a rotating shoulder going on. So then you have exercises that strengthen your hip rotation and exercises that strengthen your shoulder turn, which is the most powerful part of the punch. In order to understand specialized strength work, you must learn something about biomechanics, and this is something that everybody doesn't know about. Once I'm done with specialized strength work, I move on to general strength, which are your basic movements like squats, push-ups, bench. I usually work on every single joint in my body and make sure they're strong and healthy. Then I end my workout with cardiovascular, which is a run. And I measure my heart rate and I measure my pace and distance and see how fast I run it. And if I run it faster every Monday, then I know I'm getting stronger and fitter. Let's take a look at phase 2, specialized physical and technical training. In this phase, training becomes more specific and more intense because we're getting ready for a fight. So how do we get more specific in this phase with technique and skill work? It depends on your opponent. Let's say my opponent is taller than I am, fights from a distance behind their jab. Well, I'm going to have to come up with a strategy that will allow me to cut the distance and get past that jab quick enough. Once I cut the distance and get past that jab, I need to be ready to immediately make the opponent pay. The opponent is right-handed. I would use 2 tactics. The first tactic would be slip to the inside of the jab, which is to my left, and as soon as I get there, I begin my attack with a left uppercut, right uppercut, and finish off with a left hook. And I would practice this move 20 times every day. The next tactic would be is slipping forward, moving my head to the outside of the jab, and as soon as I get there, make them pay with a right uppercut, left uppercut, right hook. I will also practice this combo 20 times every day. And this will be my technique work and skill learning. Next on the list is speed and explosive work. In this part of training, what I will do is the two tactics I just mentioned, I would practice them as explosive as possible. When practicing explosively, you want to practice with impeccable technique, and you never want to go over 10 seconds while practicing explosively. Once you go over 10 seconds, fatigue sets in, and you will no longer be moving in an explosive manner, and you begin to slow down. This is when you want to stop, because you don't want to practice slow. The goal is to become as explosive as possible with impeccable technique. Do like 6 sets of both tactics. Once I'm done with the portion of speed and explosive work, I move on to specialized work, which is the same as the way we did it in phase 1. Once I'm done with specialized strength work, I'll move on to general strength, and then I'll finish off with cardiovascular work. Okay, we did phase 2 for about 2 months. Now our fight is coming up in another 2 months. Now we move on to phase 3, which is the competitive phase. Here we're no longer trying to get stronger or fitter. Here we're practicing everything in real time against real opponents. We're practicing the explosiveness that we gain from phase 2 here in phase 3. Our main focus here is to maintain everything we gained from all the previous phases while becoming elite at our skills and technique execution explosively, while making sure that by the time we get to fight week, we are fresh and ready to go. Phase 4 is the post-competitive period, and here's where you want to rest for like 2 to 3 weeks and get some active recovery. Play some of your favorite sports just for fun. Play some chess. Just do something different. But definitely recover. Once you're done with phase 4 and you're done recovering, go right back to phase 1 and go chill there for a little bit until you get a fight date. And once you get a fight date, you already know, phase 2.